What's up, bros and hoes, whatever floats your goat? It's Relentless here, and welcome your butts back to a brand new Division build video. As I've stated in my previous build video, the Deathbringer, the M870 is back and can easily 2-tap. A lot of people like my friend Reggie Merck either runs an all high end or yes Sentry, and he is actually beast with Sentry when it comes to a shotgun. 2-taps everybody. But without further ado, before we get into this build, I want to point out the links in the description below. We have an awesome PS4 Pro or an Xbox S giveaway going on for first prize. Second prize is game of choice, and the third prize is actually a limited edition, the Fresh Hotness, the Revolution Gaming t-shirt. One of a kind. Well, I would say one of a kind, but when they're sold out, there will be no more, so be sure to check out the links in the description below. Follow the Gleam link or the video giveaway link, and it will walk you through the steps on what you need to do and then how to enter. And don't forget to check out Revolution Gaming's Facebook page. That link is also in the description below. The most positive gaming community out there. We're new, we're up and coming, but our loyal followers on that page are there to help in any way they can, whether it be Division, Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, Rocket League, you name it, the skies are the limit. Anyone and everyone is there to help out and just promote a positive atmosphere for gamers to socialize, communicate, and talk about every game under the sun. Without further ado, let's hop right into this build video. As you can see, I do have a crappy M870. It has a 181k base damage, that can be improved upon, because you got to also take into consideration of what gear that I'm using. That would actually bolster that up quite nicely. Its talents are brutal, destructive, and commanding. My idea talents would be brutal, responsive, and competent, such as what's on my Black Market SASG, which is brutal, responsive, and competent, and it hits for 123k. So if you want to run dual shotguns, then those two are the trifecta. And also, you know, I'm running an SMG, which is the MP5 ST with responsive, deadly, and vicious. But getting back to the M870, on my attachments, 111% magazine size, 3% crit chance, and 5.2% rate of fire. 24.5% optimal range, crit chance, crit damage, and on my large underbarrel, 46.5% optimal range, 2% accuracy, and 4.5% reload speed. And the optimal range is because if they try to run after I pop them the first time and they don't go down, then they can run all they want to, but I have long hands and this baby will reach. I just got to find another one that has the talents that would make this build even more potent. But going on to the gear. As you can see, it is 3-piece Banshee, 3-piece Lone Star. Now, the Banshee 3-piece looted DZ funds, I'm not really too worried about, but it's the 10% damage to targets out of cover, because as we know, most people do not stay in cover unless they're those pesky little skill builds that do nothing but want to 2-tap the L button, drop a flame turret, or drop the Seeker Mines and hide, and in my opinion, that takes no skill whatsoever, but to each his own. It's in the game, use what it's at your disposal and what works best for you. But getting into it, 1783 as in base armor, which is pretty low. I'd rather it be this one. But this one has enemy armor, damage, and health, which could come in handy on PvE situations. But as for this scenario, this situation, doing the PvP, it has help and all resistance with 52% ammo capacity. And in its mod slots, I have 259 firearms with 3% skill haze, 261 firearms with 3% skill haze. Moving on to the mask. The mask I have opted in for skill power, but that could easily, you could switch that up for crit hit chance. But you can't really get that high of a crit hit chance because you're basically dealing out raw damage when using a shotgun. So in my opinion, the skill power is the way to go. The minor attributes, instead of blind death resistance, I prefer flame resistance, shock resistance, anything that will help deter those pesky shot turrets or flame turrets that, you know, just seem to be plaguing the DZ. They speak of balance, but yet, you know, we really don't see balance. It's just a bunch of people 2-tapping their L1 button, dropping a flame turret or dropping Seeker Mines, and it pretty much turns into a barbecue in the DZ. But as you can see, a decent main stat at 1251, decent armor at 969. In the mod slot, I have 249 firearms and 3% skill haze. Moving on to the knee pads. I had a great firearms roll on this one. 1462 in base armor, which is a little low. Crit hit damage, damage to elites, disrupt resistance, and blind depth resistance. My actual go-to would be shock resistance, bleed resistance, and something other than damage to elites on this one. But as you can see, this is rolled for health. But it has a low firearm stat roll. So to each his own, but I'm going for more massive damage in a way, so therefore I went with crit hit damage. Moving on to the mod slots, 254 firearms, 3% skill haste, and 5.5% first aid self-heal. Now moving on to the Lone Star side. Lone Star backpack, decent overall armor base roll, good firearms roll at 1263, major attributes, 13,282 in health, and some more burn resistance to help out with those pesky flame turrets. And then moving on to the mod slots, I have 259 stamina, 3% skill haste, and then 6% first aid self-heals. And as you can see, the talents, 100% ammo capacity, and then the set bonus for a 3-piece, 8% LMG damage, and then 8% shotgun damage. So all in all, that's an 18% buff to your weapons if they're out of cover, because you get the 10% from the Banshee plus the 8% here. So if you have a good LMG, such as like the Hungry Hog, or any of the LMGs, and don't want to run dual shotguns or an SMG or an AR, then find yourself a great LMG and rock this build as well. Moving on to the gloves. As you can see, it has a low base armor of 902. I wish it was closer to 9800, or at the very best it could be is a 1001. But it has crit hit chance, shotgun damage, and crit hit damage, and a low firearms roll of 1142. Now, with a better firearms roll with at least 100, you're going to be exceeding 8,000 in firearms, and that'll be boosting up your damage significantly. So if you are able to have gear pieces with higher base armor rolls and also higher main stat rolls, then your numbers here are going to fluctuate. Your toughness will go up, and then your DPS or your firearms will go up, so that way you'll be able to dish out even more damage. Moving on to the holster, 1249, 1262, and 1229 main stats across the board. Instead of the major attributes being health, I would switch that to skill haste if I was able to, but unfortunately I was not, because I only had 11, and I believe 1132 on firearms, so I opted in to roll that, and that nice little health chunk of health does come in handy. And in the mod slots, I have 6% first aid self-heal. So moving on to the character sheet. As you can see, I got 15% enemy armor damage, 16% damage to elites, which comes in handy in PvE situations, and only at a 15% skill haste, due to the simple fact of if you can get skill haste on your chest piece along with your holster here, then that alone would boost you up to at least the bare minimum of 30% skill haste, that is what I hope to accomplish with those two pieces once I get my hands on them, so that way I can be above 30% skill haste because of my mediocre skill power. So if you're running mediocre skill power that is less than 120k, then you want to opt in for as most skill haste as possible, so that way even though you're only getting an adequate amount of health back with your heals, then the skill haste would help you bring that back and have those mediocre heals more frequently. So that is my opinion, that you want to at least strive for at least 30% skill haste, and the best way to do that is have skill haste on your holster and on your chest piece. And then if you're more of a damage deal, then roll everything into firearms and also have skill haste on all your mod slots. But this is very deadly in the DZ, and also when running around doing LZ in the light zone, farming, trying to find MC gloves, or just, roaming around the DZ, trying to knock down bosses and get more gear. Basically, all the way up to 34, you can basically 2-tap NPC, so it works out fairly well. And then if you happen to go extract and come across these pesky rogues trying to steal your stuff, just 2-tap them in the forehead, take their stuff, extract it, say la vie, and that'll be all she wrote. But anyways, this is your boy Relentless. I've racked on long enough. Be sure to ground and pound that like and subscribe button. And don't forget the links in the description below for all the awesome giveaways. Be sure to stay tuned on that. And don't forget to check out Revolution Gaming. And we'll see you.
I got broads in Atlanta, she's at the lean, the family, credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van.